Okay, today I wanted to make a simple locket, and also show how to make a snake skin surface technique. So the locket actually does open up. It's got a little hinge on there. You can look inside. You can put message inside there, or a picture, a note, anything you like. Uh, that's what we're going to be making today. This is just another piece of snake skin I was playing with earlier to try and see what other techniques, what other looks I can get. But what I did was I started with 3 colors of clay. In this case, I'm getting gold. I got a piece of gold clay here, and I'm running it through one setting thinner than my thickest setting. So it's a number 2 on my POTS machine. Lay that down. I've got a piece of copper. I'm going to run that through the same setting and put it on top of the gold. Come along. Make sure I've got something that's quasi square, because I knew the copper was small. So I'm just going to use that as my reference. Tie everything up. Clean it up. Get rid of the mucky edges. Oops, got a little, it's okay. And then I've got a sheet of black. And I'm going to run that through also on the same setting. Now my black is really, really thick, really, really big, actually. So let me go ahead and get it set. Do want the black on top. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I'll show you in a little bit why. But it's with the black on as the very top piece, it gives me a little bit better look, I think. It makes some lines that show up better when I do this snake skin look. And basically, I start off with kind of your basic Mokumigani technique. So that I'm actually going to take this. Oh, there we go. And as is, I'm going to run it through the POTS machine on its thickest setting. Come up with this. I'm going to cut that in half. I always check to see what it looks like. I like how it's looking. We'll stack it up. Run it through again on the thickest setting. See what that's going to look like. It's looking pretty good. One more time. Then I'm going to call it good. Okay. There it is. Last time through the POTS machine. I'm going to stack it up. I'm going to cut it and stack it again, but this time without running through the machine. Just so I've got a little bit of thickness to work with. It's probably getting all fine. You can't see the lines now, but it's really what I like. It's about what I'm looking for. So I'm going to take a mesh. This is just a plastic mesh. Usually find that on your vegetables or on your fruit at the grocery store. I actually had my wife go to the store and told her I wanted the bag that the grapes came in. So this is what she got me. I'm going to lay it over there, and I'm going to stretch it just a little bit to kind of give me a little more pattern to it. Now that means I've got to hold it stretched for a little while, because otherwise it's going to change shape on me. And then I'm going to run over it with my acrylic rod. Make sure I get it embedded well into the clay. I want it deeply embedded. Actually, did that wrong, but I can deal with it in a minute, I think he said. Um, no, I didn't. Sorry, my mistake. I forgot a step. Let me do this, and then I'll have to come back and do that again. Like Mokumi Gane, I need to distort this a little bit. And that is a step I keep forgetting. And the pattern on snakeskin tends to be fairly large. So I'm using large objects to push into my clay, create some indentations. I'm not trying for a fine pattern. I want something that's rather bold. I'm going to lay it down, smush it together a little bit, distort it. This is going to change the look of my snakeskin. I'm probably going to end up with a double set of effects in there. And for that, I apologize, but you'll get the idea. I'm just trying to get things back together. Little bumps and divots out of it. Let me change the shape a little bit while I'm doing that. And I actually may try and run it over it with a brayer and see if I can get some of the old snakeskin, some of the old mesh look out of there and put in a new mesh. So, put my tools aside, run over it with a brayer, so I can get some of that out of there. I'm still getting a little bit of the divots left in there, so let me squeeze it some more. Push the clay together. I really want a smooth surface when I start. I've tried it with all kinds of surfaces, and the smoothness is the smoother you got it when you start, the better off you are, especially with the way I cut, because I'm really bad at it. Okay. And that's pretty good. A little bit here and there to fill in some of the gaps. Run over it with my fingers to see if I can get rid of the mesh. Again, go over the mesh. Okay. Now, once more with my screen. Now I'm going to put the screen over it after I've done the Mokumi Gane look. And again, how much you do that is up to you. How bold you want the look to be. And even if you don't do it the way you cut and slice, you get a little bit of an effect anyway. So I'm holding this with one hand and pressing with the other. Once I've got it kind of embedded, I can release and work it to where I get more of it embedded. I want to make sure I get it well done and all the way to the edges. Okay, that should do it. Got nice depth there. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me hold it up to the camera. You can see I've got some nice depth on that surface there. Now the trick here is to just barely shave this off. I want to just take just the top off. And reveal the snake skin below. That's why I like the black on top, because the black shows up the indentations or the marks between the scales better. And I know watching me shave this is just so much fun, but it's got to be done this way. And I do want to get the whole thing because I'm going to use most of it for my pendant piece. Cut just a little bit deeper here. Okay, so now I cut a little deep into a few spots, but you can generally see I've got something that generally looks like a nice snake skin there. Um, Now I've done a couple things, different trials on this, and I really do just want a veneer. So what I've been doing is coming in and trying to figure out how to cut that thing where I get just a thin slice. And I'm really bad at that. And I probably shouldn't do it, but I'm going to try anyway. And I can work with this. I can work with this, so I'm going to work with this. You can trim this down and get a thin veneer, which is kind of nice to work with. Another reason to do that is it gives me a smooth surface to work with. This is a little bit irregular, and I might run over with the brayer just to get it, see if I can get it a little smoother without too much distortion. Because I do want my pendant to have a fairly regular surface. And now I've got a piece that's fairly thick, actually about the thickness I like. So I'm actually going to call that the pendant. I'm going to trim up the edges. Make it, let's give it a little bit of a shape. Just a hair. Always nice to have something other than just a rectangle. Now I need to cut a piece out of it for the little for the locket side. So I was using the hexagonal cutter. You can use a square cutter, round cutter, and I'm going to look at my selection of cutters. And I'm thinking maybe a round one would be better at this case. And I've got some thin round if I can find one of them handy. Maybe. Oh, there's an idea. We've got an oval cutter. I wonder how that works. Uh, Not sure I like how the oval is going to look on there. So going back to my hexagon, go back, and I will position the hex cutter on there somehow. See if we can get it reasonably well centered. And just press down. And you need to make sure you get all the way through. And we did. We have succeeded. And yep, comes out easy. Good. Now, the next trick, and let me caution you at this point, don't do what I often do. Make sure you maintain your orientation, because it is easy to get this thing misaligned, and then things don't add up well. They don't work together well. So I need to put a hinge on there. Put a hinge on there. I'm going to take your typical pin back. I'm going to open the thing up, and I'm going to cut the clasp off. So this piece right here, I'm going to cut off. And be careful when you do this because it does tend to go flying. Ask me how I know. Okay, and I distorted that a bit. So let me get another tool and flatten it back out. Well, these are not meant to be cut, so they don't like it well. So I'm gonna have to put that guy back the way he was, get him nice and flat again. The next question is is it okay? It's small enough that it will fit on the back. Good. That's critical. Now, the next thing is, does the pin fit? And it is a little too long. So I got to cut that off a little bit. Not much, but just enough. I said, you got to cut that off. There. Got that cut off. And then you'll notice on here, uh, you've got this little piece right here sticking up. It's actually a spring they used so that when you unlock the clasp, it pops up a little bit. That's going to be a problem for us, so that's got to come off as well. I'm going to come in and cut that again the way I've been doing this. And yes, you'll notice I cover it with my hand when I do that, because you don't want that piece flying up and hitting you in the eye or hitting someone else in the eye. So I've got that. Now then I need to attach that to the back of my Locket piece. So I'm going to simply take some of the scrap clay I used before and marble it up. And you do want something back. You want it to have something interesting back there, something that looks quasi nice. Because people always look at the back of whatever it is you did. Oh, and so I'm just taking this thing out, marbling it up, and get a little nice marble on there, making sure it's going to be wide enough. I'm going to take it down to about a number 4 on my machine, I think. Oh, that's a nice pattern. Like that pattern. Good. And so I need to get the back there. Cut. 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 Just cut all the way around that thing. I'm talking, I don't need to be saying some things that are obvious. Make sure I've got everything trimmed. Can't see this side, you guys can. And there. Now I need to take that off. Problem number 2. I've got to get this pin into that Locket. The hinge has got to actually go into the Locket. I want it sitting about there. So I'm going to set that in there. Get an idea of where it's actually going to end up being. Should be right about there. I'm going to take my knife, put a few marks on there so I know exactly what I did. With a snake skin, that is really tricky. Cut out that little piece right there. Now this guy should just drop right in there. I'm going to press him in all the way into the clay. Didn't press him into the clay, I can tell from the way it came up. So I will pick it up in my hands and do it that way. Press him into the clay. You can feel it go in. There we go. Got him. So I've got that set. And now I have lost the orientation for this piece. it was oriented. So, yeah, okay, that's the way it was oriented. Good. So he's going to be oriented that way. Now, I need to very carefully, because I need the hinge to fit in there exactly the way it is. So I'm going to pick this guy up, pull that hinge out, trying to keep from distorting anything. Oops. Okay, I can see where the hinge was. That's good. See, there's some marks on the back of this piece where the hinge was, so I can just set the hinge along the marks, get him taken care of there. I'm now going to take this piece that I so nicely sliced up, put him on the back, so that hinge is now adhered. It will stay in place. Get everything lined up well. Got a nice picture on the back so people will have something to look at when they open it up and look at the back side of my hinge, my locket piece. All right, that guy should be good. Now, I put a back on this, so I need to put another spacer on this guy. Otherwise, it's not going to close well. So I'm going to take, again, more scrap. At this point, it's just any scrap clay works fine. Because this piece won't be seen by anybody when I've got a lot of leftover scraps from what I did. I'm going to make it, I'm going to run it one setting thicker because I've also got the hinge on there in addition to that piece that's sealing it. So I want to make sure I get everybody well covered with enough space that everything's going to sit well. And make sure I've got enough clay here. I don't. So I'll add a little bit more clay here and there. Run it through the machine again. And one more time, just make sure we get it right. That guy on there somehow. So he fits. There we go. He's on. Cut. I'm going to press down just a little bit here to make sure he sits well. The clay's adhered. Cut along the edge. I can clean this up a little bit later because I'm going to a couple more pieces to add. So the cleanup is always another one last step. Now, like I said, my locket outside or inside is a little bit larger, is a little bit thicker. So I need to take this guy, cut that back piece off of him. And I have distorted him just a little bit, ever so slightly. So I need to make some adjustments so that I don't do too much damage. Press down. And now then, I should be able to take that guy out. Got him. Okay, that works. I clean up my surface. Now then, I really do want the back piece on there. And so for that, I'm going to, again, take some of my scraps, because all I need to do is take some of this clay I've got, marble it up, and it will look like it belongs. A little twist here and there. Don't need something very thick. but I do need enough that I've got the back covered. Let me start that again. Okay. And just smushing that together, spreading out a little bit. That should give me something that will cover the back. And again, I'm using a reasonably thin piece because I don't need a lot for the back. Oh, nice. I like that look. So I'm going to lay that on there, leave my pendant on that backing piece. Make sure I've got, before I lay the pendant on the backing piece, I'm going to put this guy in there one more time to make sure my hole stays where it should be, it maintains its shape. Otherwise, my locket will not close. Okay, now I can put that guy down. That's the shape we need. And I told you there's a little cleanup to do at the end, and this is that cleanup. I'm going to come in and just square up my edges. Like that. Okay, those guys are all squared up. This is about ready to go. One last thing. And again, uh, if you look at it, the sides of this are fairly ugly at this point. It's kind of thick, and I've got some odd colors and stripes and striations and whatnot, and that's never good. So I'm going to take some gold clay and wrap the edges. Don't need a lot because I'm just going to take a thin strip of gold and put it around the edges, same as you see on this piece. There's gold clay wrapped around the edges. Oops. Okay. Okay, we got that. Gold's a little stiff today. It won't be hard. Won't be long. We'll get it. I can actually do anything I want. I could put black on there. I've done black. I've done a layer of black and a layer of gold. I've used graphite. I've used copper and then a layer of gold. Now, this time I just want to put a thin layer of gold on there. I'm going to take it on the fixed setting of my pasta machine initially to get it started. And then I'm going to start making it thinner and thinner. I'm going to fold it in half, take the machine down a notch, and run it through. There it is. I'm going to take the machine down on the notch and run it through. That's still a little thicker than I want. I'll take the machine down one more notch and run it through again. I think that's good. Okay, I've got a really long piece here. What I'm going to do at this point is take everything, set it aside so I don't mess it up. I'm going to take the gold. I'm going to fold it. That way I'll have a bright gold showing up on the top of the edge. Otherwise, if I clean it up and wrap it around, then I just get the dull side of the gold. Because I'm using Primo and it's got mica in it, and so it's got a shiny side and a dull side. So I get that taken care of. I got it folded. Now I got to get the air out of it. Start in the middle and push towards the ends. Okay. I run there over it once or twice. So we get a nice smooth edge there. That's going to be a nice edge. Get a nice sharp edge on that. Air bubble there. I'm chasing, but I don't think I need to. Well, I'm gonna, the perfectionist in me doesn't like it. So I got to get the air bubbles out. Okay, that's got him out. Clean that guy up. We got a nice sharp edge. The air bubble. Right. Okay. Okay. We should have more than enough. So I can trim that off because it's ugly. And I've known people that do this and they put it up against there, put the gold clay up against the edge, starting at the corner, and get it perfectly matched. And I find I have a lot of trouble doing it that way. So I end up just taking it, putting it face down on the tile, pushing the gold down against the edge of the tile, and using my finger, push it around and make sure I get it sealed. Now, before I finish that, I'm going to come in with a blade and trim the gold. I want to get it real close to the same level as the back of the pendant so that it doesn't stick up, and I don't want to cut into the pendant because that is raw clay. I haven't baked anything yet, but I'm going to cut it off there, seal it down. I can see a few spots that need a little bit of extra work here. That's another reason to do that. And I find I do get a better cut if I sometimes just kind of slide the blade in towards the pendant because then I'm pushing against something solid. Now that should be enough to get the last piece on there. That against the tile. Pulls down against the tile. Thumbnail to tighten it up. Put the end off. And come in and finish up what I'm doing here. Very poorly, I might add. That's okay, because I can always come back and clean it up a little bit more. That edge. No. Whoops. That's why you don't want to. So I need to be very, very careful doing this. Don't really want to cut the back of the pendant. You just want to get right next to it. Nails are great for cleaning up stuff. And there's that. I'm going to turn that over, see how it looks. Got a little bit of a problem with that corner. And this one has got, what I need to do here is roll that edge over just a little bit and seal it down so that I kind of hide that seam. And that seam is pretty much hidden now to most casual observers. I'm in with my blade one last time and clean that up. Now, at this point, you probably noticed I've got a depression here because that's where I've got no support on the inside. So what I'm actually going to do is bake it on a sheet of paper so that I don't get a shiny texture on any part of it. I want to control that. I want to get any loose clay off the piece. So put this on that sheet of paper, push down to make sure that's taken care of. I'm going to bake this separate. Remember, I pushed this into there. And so I've already got the spot where that pin goes. And I made sure I got everything lined up perfectly. In fact, I can actually take care of that again right now. I can bend that hinge and see if I can find where it goes. I'll pick it up and see if I can find out where it goes. Looks like it goes in. There, goes in right there. Take it all the way in. Drop that down. So it will fit. But I want to bake it separate. Otherwise, the clay will bake to itself, and then I'll have a really hard time getting it out of there. I'm going to do a little last cleanup on this guy. I noticed a few spots that need a little bit of a touch on that backing piece, which isn't too surprising. This is one of those things, easier to do it now than later. Okay, and take care of that. And so I'm going to bake them on the sheet of paper, separate. When they're baked, what I'll do is I will take them like this guy, and I haven't finished this guy yet because he does come out. But what I'll do is I'll put just a little drop of super glue on the tip here and set him up. Find out where that hole is, set it into the hole, push it well in there, close it up, and let it set for half an hour or so for the super glue to dry. Now, you may want an easier way to open this than using your thumbnail to grab that. If you choose to do that, what I would recommend is getting some like 24 gauge craft wire, something simple. Get small little piece of it. What I can do is put the craft wire and put a piece of craft wire in here with a hook on the end so it goes in and sits. Then I can create a little ball of clay and put it on the other end of the craft wire. I've done that a few times. And I'm looking around trying to find my craft wire right now, and I don't see it handy. I thought it was right here. Otherwise, if I could find that, I'd show you what I do. But just a tiny ball, and that's way too much of a ball. You don't need much. Something really small. And so I can actually what you could do if you really wanted to is simply attach something right there to the clay press it in enough so that it's going to stick, because we haven't baked anything yet. And then you have something you can grab onto. I don't like that myself because I don't like the look of it. That's why I don't do it. Um, it always looks like something has been added. But I could do that, and then I've got a little knob I can grab a hold of. I've done it once or twice, but I prefer to just bake it as is, in two parts, like that, and then assemble it, glue it together when I'm done. So, thank you for watching, and with that, hope you enjoy fun claying or playing.